so 18.1 just dropped. We got to see Sam Briggs and Christine Holta go. Great showdown. At the same time, here across the river, so we went ahead and had two of our advanced athletes go, get to see what it kind of looked like without being an elite athlete. Gave us some really good feedback. So let's kind of jump into this. We've made up a pretty simple board here of essentially what we could expect from the open traditionally, and then possible movements that could come up, right? So with that, we like to just cross things out as we go. So we got our classic triplet, that's out. 4 times still up on the board, AMRAP. Traditionally, there hasn't been just a really long AMRAP. It's always somehow materialized in sort of kind of a checkpoint system, like, hey, every 2 minutes, if you make a certain rep count, you get more time, or other items like that. But this is the first time where we actually see it's just straight long AMRAP, right? It's not a chipper style, so that's gone. That's slightly new this year. And then if we look at it in terms of loaded, right, there's nothing new here, right? I should say old, but we have toes to bars gone, monostructural work, we got rowing, right? And now we have some sort of hang version, right, of a clean dumbbell. And then of course we're saying there's a jerk or a press in there, so that's marked off. Right, so there you go. As you can see, all the things that are still up for grabs, there's a ton. So with that, right, as we go throughout the weeks, we should be able to start narrowing down what our guesses are for the other regional, the other open workouts. So let's go ahead, let's turn it up into essentially what we would want our athletes to have for our warm-up flow. This is going to be important. We want to think general mobility, and just general warming up is going to be key. This isn't a sprint, so we don't have to jack and spike our heart rate, let it cool down to go ahead and kind of let our CNS get used to that. So really what I'm looking for, I would go for just 5 minutes for 10 minutes, right? Is just going to be 2 rounds, essentially of 2 minutes of rowing, just kind of feel it out, see what's tight, see what might not be active, and then just do 3 minutes of trigger point work, right? We aren't looking for stretching, anything like that. Just get as loose as possible. There's not really any weight involved in this workout, so we want to go ahead and take all intrinsic, essentially, tension out of your body. We want to be as loose as possible as we flow through these reps. So after you go ahead and do that, you want to go ahead, and this is where I'm going to have my lead coach and Ariel come in. You're going to be wanting to think about getting some baby get-ups in. You're going to be 3 sets of 6, 3 each side. You really want to focus about keeping everything nice and tight, locked in. She's going to roll into the hip, into essentially version of baby get-up, and we're keeping all these points of contact nice and square as we roll up and as we roll down, right? And we're really focused on that big isometric work through the midline. So just go ahead and warm up. Great, so that's that. After that, you're gonna want to go ahead and think about some Kang squats. Rowing is a weird movement in terms of a portion of row is a hinge pattern and another portion is a squat. So I like Kang squats to go ahead and move through this. So she's gonna put the bar on her back. She's gonna go ahead and essentially go into a good morning, the bottom position, right? Feeling those hamstrings, glutes engaged, and then she's gonna roll herself back down in kind of that full compression of what a rowing stroke could look like. And then she's gonna come back out, right? And then fire there, right? So pretty simple, right? Just warming up there. Awesome. And then to go ahead and make sure that we still working up overhead positions, and then we get that localization, warming up activation through the tricep. We're gonna go ahead and actually be getting a dumbbell, so all you guys are used to this. I wouldn't do a dumbbell, a kettlebell Turkish get-up. I would use a dumbbell, get used to that, a little bit of a harder balancing act. She's gonna go ahead and do 4 floor press, right? With the side that she's gonna do the Turkish get-up in, right? She's gonna go 1, right? Really focusing on a really hard, right? Contraction of the tricep, feeling nice and strong there. On the top of the 4th one, then she's gonna flow through the full Turkish get-up, right? Boom, she's thinking about packed shoulders, right? And this is where we start to slowly open up that overhead position. As you can see, because the dumbbell, right, it's in the forward and the rear plane, so it's a little harder than a kettlebell. So this is what I want you guys to practice on, because a lot of you aren't that great stabilizing unilaterally with the dumbbell. So, and then of course you'd flow back down, right? After that, that would be 1 rep. You do that twice, right? On 4 times, think just keep on going back and forth for a total of 8 reps total for each side. All right, so that's going to be the general activation mobility. Remember, mobility is essentially a function of how flexible you are with added stability. So really elongate items and then try to reactivate them and make sure things are turned on. If we go ahead for here, a lot of us, we've never done this workout before, so it's important to put ourselves through the trial. Thank you, Ariel, so much. Right. Then from there, what we're gonna do, we're gonna do 2 rounds of 3 toes to bar. Then it's gonna be 4 dumbbell hang cleans into shoulder to overhead, and then you're gonna do 5 calories on the row. You're gonna do this 2 times at 80% to feel it out. What is 80%? AKA at a point to where it's as fast as you can go, but with able to cycle through this. If I said you're gonna do this for 5 minutes, you have no problem, right? Then directly after that second round, you're gonna go ahead, pick it up, boom, it's gonna be just shy of a sprint. You're gonna increase your reps to 5, 6, and 7 to go ahead and feel what essentially a pace of a negative split would be, or what you're gonna have to try to feel in that essentially last 3 to 2 minutes of the workout. It's time to drop the hammer, go, right? If I would argue if you think you go to a pace to where the last 2 to 3 minutes, you can't actually go ahead and go faster. We went too hard out the gate and we should have paced a little bit more. So that might be a Monday strategy if you go ahead and repeat this workout. And this is gonna tell you how this workout is gonna feel, right? So it's not a lot of reps, but it's still gonna give you stimulus to at that point, you can come over, feel what your limiters are gonna be and what your strengths are, right? So at this point, after you go and do this activation, you do the kind of trial run, you're gonna be thinking your limiter is gonna be grip. For most of us, we grip way too much on toes to bar. We utilize our lats too much rather than through our midline and having this compression through the anterior chain. Then the T-spine, not being able to actually open up through the shoulders, making sure that everything's loose there. Midline again is gonna be a gigantic limiter. We wanna make sure the lat is as open as possible. And then midline again, guys. This is just a gigantic midline workout, no matter what it is. If your midline goes out, you're gonna dip into other localized muscle groups like the lat over and over and over again, and they're gonna blown out, and you're gonna be like, why can I only do singles in toes to bar, but my grip's fine, right? They're just gonna die. So be smart with that. Now, those are gonna be limiters, and just think about how do I need to play around with those. Now, how I would go ahead and really try to make sure the limiters don't die off and kill me is really lean into my jam, right? Lean into your jam, aka what you're good with, right? So if I was really good at rowing, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna push the pace like 80 to 85%, something a little bit above what my coasting rate would be, because I know I can hold on to that for a prolonged period of time, and that's where I'm gonna get some time back, but it can still be a state of rest. So then I know I can go ahead and dig deep into my other 2 movements that I might be struggling with. So that's what I would go for. Lean into what you're good at, and then just think about how can I lean into this to make sure these limiters don't kill me off. Now, if we go ahead, we think about, building a strategy and tips. The strategy is like really what it comes down. What is your pace? What is your pace that you're not going to blow yourself out at 5, 10, 15 minutes? Even if you blow yourself out at about 17 minutes, 18 minutes, that last little bit, if you fall off, that's where somebody's gonna go ahead and get that extra round on top of you, right? So it's gonna be important to know what your pace is and build your strategy around what will allow you to keep that pace. Now, it's gonna be really important for tips, be consistent on the row, right? So the worst thing is I think a lot of people overestimate how good they are on the erg, and what they end up doing is they either pull too early on the arms, we fatigue locally in the arms, we go ahead, we don't have a good breathing pattern. We wanna make sure that whatever we pace at, you can hit that every single time until that last 2 minutes. So be consistent on the row. If you're good, increase the pace. If you know that, it's lower it down, really simple. Now, the biggest thing though is gonna be, I would, no matter what, split up your toes to bar reps early to make sure you can go ahead and pick up the dumbbell, and you can go ahead and go unbroken on the dumbbell and have a transition at the bottom, right? Going from that 5th rep into that 6th rep. If you have to drop this transition of the dumbbell, like that's a lot of time wasted over anywhere from 8 to 12 rounds for I would see a kind of intermediate to advanced athlete getting. So really what it comes down to, figure out what your pacing is, and then if you have no idea what your strengths or limiters are, this is gonna be my tips for you. Be consistent on the row, break up the toes to bar so you can be consistent of how many reps you do in every set, so you can go and broken on the hang clean. Now this is why I'm gonna have Coach Ariel come in again and just go ahead and have a look at the dumbbell hang clean to jerk. Go for it, give us 2 hang clean to jerk, Ariel. This is the biggest thing I'm gonna be looking for people, is being quick pushing underneath right, as quickly as you can. And that's why you want that big contraction of the tricep. Now, this is a lot of time, and thank you, Ariel, you can relax for a second. But it's gonna be, when you go unbroken and you're trying to go quick, it's easy to do that Oompa Loompa, to where you come up here and then you stand and you get a no rep. So I would consider, if you know your triceps are strong enough, you know your shoulder girdle can go ahead and handle a straight push press, it's only marginally, it's slightly marginally faster. It gives you just a little bit more fatigue, but there's no other pushing happening in this workout. So Ariel, could you go ahead and give me 2 hang cleans into a push press? And then from here, right, we're definitively blocked out right there, and there's no chance of no reps, right? But you gotta play that out and knowing what athlete you are, right? Can you handle that little extra fatigue and pressing and then through the shoulder or the tricep? Guys, pretty simple. Thank you again, Ariel. So again, here's the basic layout. Good luck, guys. It's a long workout. Pace, pace, pace is the name of the game.